Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Baldwin-Wallace Athletics Roadshow at Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea. I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got a couple of great guests coming up. We're going to talk men's volleyball with our head coach, Kyle Mars. We're going to speak with one of the most outstanding wrestlers anywhere in Division III across the country, Jacob Decatur, who transferred to BW from Ohio State. He's the number 2 ranked wrestler nationally in 125-pound weight class. We will also talk about the indoor track and field season with Jordan Hill, who is our head coach for the Jackets track and field team. So that's all coming up. But before we dive into those interviews, an opportunity real quick just to look back at the week that was here in our first, I guess this is our first show of the new semester, so we'll get you caught up on the third week of January. The wrestling program, who is top 5 in the country, had a huge win over Wilmington, 49-3, and the men's volleyball team opened their season this past Tuesday, dropping in straight sets, although very close and competitive sets with Hiram. Wednesday was a big night for the basketball programs. They played their crosstown rivals, John Carroll. The men's team had arguably their biggest win over John Carroll in a very long time. 101-64. They pounded the Blue Streaks. Although on the other side of town, the maybe the more hyped matchup, it featured the number 11 and number 12 ranked teams in Division III basketball, according to D3Hoops.com. And John Carroll survived 68-65 as the Yellow Jackets missed a 3 just before the buzzer. On Friday, the Yellow Jacket volleyball team was supposed to compete, but unfortunately Penn State Altoona was dealing with some COVID issues in their program, and they were not able to. Saturday was a busy day. Men's and women's swimming and diving were across town over at John Carroll. Unfortunately, both came up on the losing end, but competed well. The wrestling team with an unbelievable performance in the heavyweight, a pinfall about 5 minutes in, and the Yellow Jackets, because of that decision, locked up a victory over John Carroll down at Muskingum. The wrestling team also beat Muskingum 53-0, and they outlasted Ohio Northern 22-9. So 3 wins for the wrestling program at the OAC Duels this week, and with that set of 3 wins, they've won at least a share of the OAC title for the 6th time in 7 years. If they rack up another win this week, they will win the crown outright here in 2022. The men's and women's track and field team did have an unscored meet. They got started this winter season down at Otterbein. Young teams, and we're going to dive into that with Jordan Hill coming up here shortly, but they competed with no official results this past weekend. Men's volleyball did play 2 nationally ranked teams this weekend. The number 3 ranked team in the country, Dominican, and number 12 nationally ranked Juniata. Yellow Jackets unfortunately came up short in both of those matches in straight sets. Wilmington came to Berea on the basketball court, and boy did the Yellow Jackets have a good day. On the women's side, 61-30. They annihilated Wilmington, who did not score double-digit points in a quarter until there were 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, when the Yellow Jackets had emptied their bench a few minutes earlier. Wilmington was down one of their better players, but boy, did the Yellow Jackets look like a top 10 ranked team in that win. And then on the men's side, a really nice win, 5 in a row now for Tom Heil's team, 85-75. The Jackets beat up on the Quakers on that game. All right, so that takes us back through this past week. When we come back, we'll talk with Kyle Mars, the head coach for our men's volleyball program at BW. It's coming up next on the Athletics Roadshow here at BWYellowJackets.com. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea. We are here with the Yellow Jackets Athletics Roadshow for the first time this semester, but certainly not the first time this year. I think this is our 11th episode. I've got to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure the 11th episode of the year. I'm Brendan Gulick, and we're going to jump right in right away with our men's volleyball coach, Kyle Mars, who's got practice coming up here in just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Some technical difficulties streaming it live here this evening, but we will post this after the fact because we definitely want to have a chance to get a chance to talk to you and get a feel for the team and the season that has, I guess, already started, but not long ago.
Yep.
So we can still kind of do a bit of a season preview. But in the meantime, thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the first couple matches. I mean, you guys started the season with some heavy hitters right off the bat. Obviously, Juniata in particular is a really, really good team. Give us your impressions of the way things have gone so far.
Yeah, so I thought it's been really good. Although we've had some losses, I think our guys are getting a lot better. We've shown that we can play with some of those teams that are ranked in the top 15. And, yeah, we're just making a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And as a second-year team, that's what we're just trying to look for, right? We're staying in the process of getting as good as we can and taking care of the details of what we need to do against those ranked teams. So, yeah, man, it's been a great start. We have a great group of guys, and they've been working their butts off. So
I have to imagine that I know you've been around the sport for a while, and you know, both as a player and a coach, there's a rhythm to how things go. But considering everything we've been through the last 2 years, to try and start a program and then have a pause and then try to figure out how to make it work and then jump back into what you hope is going to be a normal season, I'm sure this has offered some unique challenges for you.
Yeah, it's been kind of nerve-wracking, especially when we had that shutdown in March of 2020. We didn't have a team yet. So when that happened, there was a lot of question marks. We had a class of 12 at that point that was coming in. But it was like, yeah, these guys got shut down from their high school season, so they came in the next fall and hadn't played volleyball for 6 months. So we had to hit the ground running with just trying to get as many reps as we possibly could. But I'll tell you what, in our first year last year, the way our guys handled it was fantastic. They had to wear a mask while they played and everything of that nature. And we had 0 positive cases, which was fantastic.
It's almost unheard of.
Yeah, it was really good, but it was really tough on them,
sure.
Right? And they really bought into just trying to make the most of that season. So it was good. We did get a total of 16 games in, I'm pretty sure, from last year, and we really let our conference know who we are and what we're capable of. And now for this year, it's really truly our first full type of season. So we had a full preseason and stuff of that nature, and it was really good. So, yeah.
How do you measure progress when you've got what feels probably like a bunch of moving targets and you're just trying to keep stacking days on top of each other to keep building something? Yeah. What are the ways that you have measured progress to know that, hey, I know, the pandemic side of the impact here may be lessening, but we are growing as a team?
Yeah, so I think the first and foremost thing is we're really trying to get our guys ownership of this team. So what we've done is we've given them certain aspects that we want them to take control of. For instance, what do we want to do with our food and stuff like that? What do we want to do when it comes to showing up early for the bus? Things of that nature, so they can really own what kind of culture we are going to have. I think the second thing is stats. We want to take care of what is our hitting percentage. We want to track that from month to month and make sure we are trending in the right direction. We really want to focus on serve and pass. That's the biggest part of our game at the men's level, is we have to be able to serve tough and keep our offense in system. So we've been doing a lot of work on that front in terms of tracking our passing stats and our serving stats. So there's a number of things, and we can tell right now our offense is getting faster. Our defense is getting a lot better. We're starting to get our hands on a lot more balls, and that's been great. And right now we're just looking to close the gaps as much as possible when it comes to first and second contacts. And we're getting close in that realm. Once we can start to turn over some more points in transition, that's when we're going to start to see some gaps in the score and really start to take the lead on teams. So
how much did you see from Dominican and from Juniata this weekend in terms of like a measuring stick? Those teams, they're nationally ranked for a reason. They're experienced. Did your guys come away from those matches and saying like, hey, we're close in this area or that area, but that's what it looks like to be doing it really well?
Yes, and we did exactly get to see that, and that was the point of going out there was, hey, we're going to get to see exactly what is it going to take to maybe get to that top 20 to top 25 tier. And I think what we saw is we can serve and pass just as well as those teams right now. If you look at the stats of the ace and air type of ratios with those games, we were right there. I think where we have a little bit of a gap is just turning a few points in transition. We're not as clean yet as those type of teams, and those guys are fifth-year and fourth-year guys that are just bigger and hit harder. They hit the ball way harder than we do. So that's something that we have to continue to make gains as, 19-year-old guys. We just have to make sure we're getting in the weight room and continue to hit the ball harder. So that was probably the biggest gap that we saw. So
how about from a recruiting perspective and just, generally the challenges that you've bumped into in trying to build a program that, you can't rely on history and tradition and all the things that sometimes you like to sell.
Yeah.
You obviously, you're selling the education, you're selling the experience, but, trying to convince guys to join something that is building from the ground up.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with a new program is you have to sell the fact that these guys have a chance to have their handprints on something special and be on the ground floor of creating a good culture. And with that, the guys that want that kind of experience are typically guys that are self-driven, that want to take their development into their own hands, right? And that's what we have with these 17 guys, are guys that just work their butts off and they want to create something special on their own. We have a bunch of guys that are on this team that could easily play for a top 20 team and maybe sit the bench for the first two years at a Springfield or something of that nature, maybe to get some playing time in year 3 or year 4. But they have chosen to come here and help us grow something here. And it's just been a great group of guys to kind of work with, and they've bought into what we're trying to do. So,
men's volleyball is an awesome sport. For anybody who hasn't had a chance to watch any matches, man, I'm telling you, it's a totally different game than the women's game, which I also think is really fun. But the speed and the physicality of the men's game is unique, in my opinion. As someone coaching at the Division III level, how would you characterize the differences that you see in high-level D3 guys compared to what you might see at Long Beach State, UC Santa Barbara, Ohio State, USC, UCLA, etc.?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. The biggest difference that I see from the D1 level to the higher level of D3 is the height above the net at which guys play. At the D1 level, you got guys who are 6'7" to 6'10", who are touching close to 12 feet. At our level, we have guys that are in the 6'3" to 6'5" range that are touching 10-10 to 11-2, right? Okay. So that's the biggest difference in terms of the speed of the offenses, in terms of the speed of the serves, things of that nature. It's very similar. It's obviously going to be some slower serving at our level, but it's still, you're trying to pass a rocket that's coming at you at 62 miles per hour, right? So it's still a physical game. It's a brand of volleyball that's really fun to watch, and you have to be willing to get hit by the ball hard, right? And if you come to our games or if you come to a practice at some point, you're going to see guys that are getting hit in the chest that are just trying to get the ball up, right? And it is a ferocious sport. It's really fun to watch.
I totally agree with you, man. We'll kind of wrap on this thought because I know you got to get to practice. Just the outlook of the season, what you're hoping to accomplish this season as you try to keep on building.
Yeah, we have our sights set on making the conference tournament playoff, and we feel like if we can make that top 4, anything can happen. We feel like we were pretty close last year. We lost a couple of matches in some deuce sets, and we were in our first year, right? So that is what our sights are set on. We also just want to continue to get better, right? So we're never going to meet that goal unless we get into the practice gym every single day and work at our craft and get as disciplined as we possibly can. So these guys are just laser focused on, it doesn't matter what happened on Saturday, we got to get back in here, we got to get better. So, yeah. Well,
wishing you a successful and a healthy season. I know you've already had a couple of wrinkles thrown in with some of your opponents dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in right now, and you just got to keep on adjusting. But thanks for spending some time with us, and I'm certain we'll talk with you along the way here as the winter and spring go along. Good to see you too, Kyle.
Thanks.
Kyle Mars, our men's volleyball coach here at BW. Roadshow continues tonight from Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea with Jacob Decatur, who has done a terrific job as part of the Yellow Jacket Wrestling program. Jacob, thanks for spending some time with us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Glad you were able to make it tonight. I'll tell you what, for folks that haven't had a chance to see this wrestling program and Jacob in person, get out to Berea as quickly as you can. It just might be the most successful program we have on campus right now. The wrestling program is has earned at least a share of the OAC title again this year for the 6th time now. In the last 7 seasons, they are unbeaten in conference play. And as we shoot this, if you win your next OAC dual match as a team, you guys will win the OAC outright. Why don't we just start there? You were recruited into a program that had championship, not just aspirations, but expectations. I think there's a real difference between those two. How much of that was, a part of your recruiting process where you knew you wanted to go somewhere that you could achieve success as a team, not just individually?
Absolutely, yeah. No, wrestling it's an individual sport, but it boils down to the guys that you have in the room, and if everyone's making each other better, then ultimately your team's going to win. And that's what I love about this team. Everybody in that room is trying to get better every single day, and it just made the decision to come here that much easier. Not to mention that Gibbs is the man. Coach Gibbs is the man. He is. Give folks who don't maybe know him particularly well, give us a little insight at why you and so many of your teammates feel that way about him. He's a winner, but he likes to have fun with it, and we all appreciate that. He's hard on us for sure. I mean, any other sport on campus can tell you how hard we work, and he really drives that home for us. But he loves all of us, and he just wants to see us compete and do well, not only on the mat but off the mat as well. He's a great guy.
I know Coach Zastro obviously maybe doesn't get quite the same fanfare because he's not the head coach, but I know he is an incredibly good guy who is such an integral part of the success of that program. I'd love to hear a Coach Z story if you have one.
Coach Z story. I don't particularly have any stories, to be real, but his obsession for Mountain Dew can be talked about. It's real. It is. Shout out Coach Z. That's the man. 1-2 punch, Coach Gibbs and Coach Z.
I love that. How about the fact that you're a Northeast Ohio guy, right? I mean, you chose to go to school reasonably close to home. Akron is, 40 minutes away from here.
Yep.
Close enough that you can get home if you need to, far enough away that you feel like you're not at home. Mm-hmm. What was that right balance for you, and why did BW fit that?
Yeah, coming from OSU 2 hours away, I didn't like how far I was from my family, so I made the decision to move a little bit closer, come here to BW, and it's just been the change for me has been it's been tremendous. The guys are great, and it's wonderful to be on a part of this team. Like 30 minutes away, you can't beat that, and just to represent for Cleveland, for Ohio, it's unreal. That's an unmatched feeling, honestly.
I know we're talking Baldwin Wallace here, but since you brought up your time at Ohio State, I think it's worth bringing up the wrestling culture in the state of Ohio. Obviously, Ohio State's got a really special program. They've got a super cool facility. Their match day environment is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I think BW does a really good job of generating a similar kind of vibe and feel for it. But I think it says a lot about what BW has built that you had the chance to wrestle for the Buckeyes and decided that Baldwin Wallace was a better fit for you. Mm-hmm. What did you see when you were going through that process that made you feel like, hey, I know what I'm used to here in Columbus, but I see a lot of what I like here in Berea?
Mm-hmm. I saw competitors in the room. I saw a coach who wants nothing but the best for his wrestlers. And I saw opportunity here. I wasn't liking where I was at the time, and made what I think is the best decision of my life to come here. I mean, I've been pushed here in ways that I wasn't pushed at OSU. Being on a team with a lot of hammers on it, sometimes you don't get the right attention that you need to become your better self, and that's what I found to be true here. you're going to find your true, better self here at BW.
For those who don't know, Jacob was a 3-time champion in high school in the OHSAA. And I guess I'm curious how much of the conversation between you and Coach Gibbs and Coach Z was about, you not just coming in and being one of the guys, but them wanting you to lead this team and lean on your championship pedigree that you had both as a high school kid and in the beginning of your college career.
That's funny because I've always been pretty good at the sport, and I've always felt like I was a leader, but I'm not too vocal. And Gibbs has worked with me in that area this year, and I feel like I'm starting to become a true leader on this team, and that it's been because of Gibbs and talks with Z, and just coming to an understanding that this team, everybody loves each other on this team, and we're just here to work, have fun, get better, and lead the right way.
How about from an academic perspective? You're in the sport management program, right?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, Baldwin Wallace has a lot of really, really great academic programs, but I think that's one that's gotten a ton of time and attention, and for good reason, because I think it's one of the premier sport management programs at any D3 institution in the country.
Yes, it is.
And I'd put it up against most schools in the region as well. What kinds of opportunities were sort of dangled in front of you, if you will? Hey, these are where our guys or our girls are interning, and these are the kinds of places they land jobs. What was the biggest drawing factor for you when you were trying to decide where to go?
I think the biggest drawing factor for me was the fact that we're right down the road from the Cleveland Browns facility.
Sure.
That's huge in and of itself right there. That's a huge opportunity for anybody who's in the sport management program. And that's ultimately why I decided here with that program.
I love that. Tell us about your family and how hopefully they've been able to kind of support you in this journey.
Yeah. So, my dad was a wrestler in high school. He got me and my other two brothers into the sport, including my twin brother, who also now goes to Ohio State, but I left him and everything.
Flipped.
But I owe everything to my family, my dad, my mom. They raised some good people in this world, to be honest, and I owe all my success to my parents, to my older brother Josh, who is an alumni here. He wrestled. So I've learned everything I know about wrestling from those two. And then just having Jordan, my twin brother, having him in the room every single day with me up until I was 20 years old, man, that pushed me every single day. We push each other. He knows it. He's 2 hours away right now, but he knows it. I would love to be with him, but it is what it is,
Well, we're certainly glad that you're here. How about, we know what the team goals are, right? We've kind of seen this program become accustomed to the national level of success, certainly the regional and the conference success. Based on the way you've performed this year, you've got a chance to compete in the national tournament and win a national title.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious to know how you frame the goals that you want to achieve. Let me rephrase that. Is it national title or bust, or is it the kind of thing where it's like, no, I have some things along the way that are important to me to accomplish?
Oh, absolutely. There's things that this season that I wanted to accomplish for myself coming. Last year I didn't have too good of a season, and just coming here now, I wanted to wrestle every single match like it was my last match, go out every single time and compete the way that I know that I can compete. And if that means, hey, I lose at the Nationals, but I gave it my all, I can totally be happy with that. outcome. But I'm there to win it, and I hope I do.
And you should be.
Yes, sir.
That's terrific. Jacob is the number 2 ranked 125-pound wrestler in the country at the current juncture here late in January. He's the reigning OAC Wrestler of the Week. Had a couple of wins by tech fall this past weekend. Give us an idea what the environment was like at that large dual meet with John Carroll and Muskingum and Ohio Northern all competing with you guys this weekend.
Oh, yeah. The atmosphere was crazy. Fans allowed in the gym. And that's interesting, too, because a lot of the tournaments that we've had this year, there's no spectators. And it's, COVID's just been a little weird, but coming to have fans at the tournaments now, you're getting that feel of the sport back. But yeah, right off the bat, we had John Carroll, and that came down to the wire. Shout out Juice for getting the pin at the end. We needed it, but team went on, had success during the weekend. So yeah, that's all you could ask for right there.
It was huge at 285 pounds. Jared Miller with the win by pinfall at 454. A huge win that locked up that match for sure. As a team, you guys are top 5 in the country, and obviously have had big success prior to your arrival here. But certainly seems like things are trending in the right direction.
Yes, sir.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you maybe kind of backtrack to that question about wrestling culture in Ohio. Because you were at the state meet several times in high school, you get a good feel for it. You get down to Columbus, St. John Arena is, literally packed.
Electric.
There are not many atmospheres like that. How did that, invigorate you or further a love for this sport for you, getting a chance to compete in that kind of an environment?
Oh man, that can really push a person. And honestly, I'm self-motivated, but that right there, that motivated me tremendously. Oh my goodness, I was in the room with my brother Jordan, just living it up. That atmosphere is crazy. But I will say, our first duel here at BW, my first duel at least, against Mount Union, and that atmosphere was crazy too. Fans were nuts. It was loud. I loved every single moment of it.
You're an impressive young man. You've had a great run so far on the mat. We really appreciate you spending some time with us and wish you all the best the rest of the year, man.
Thank you so much.
It's a joy to watch you compete and to watch the team go at it. And I hope it's a long, fun season for you.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Jacob Decatur, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. And we'll continue with our Athletics Roadshow next. Welcome back to Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea. Continuing our Athletics Roadshow tonight with Jordan Hill, our track coach here at Baldwin Wallace. Hard to believe it's been a while now. This is your 5th season, right? Fourth season.
Yes.
The COVID thing always throws it off for me.
Yeah, it does.
One of these days I'll count them straight.
Yeah, 4 years, so very exciting.
It's amazing how fast time flies, and you guys have had a lot of success as a program. I know you're getting started here with the indoor portion of your schedule, coming off of, as a program, I think, a great cross-country season. Mm-hmm. Why don't we maybe start there and the momentum that you guys feel like you're taking from the fall and into the wintertime?
Yeah, I would say our cross-country teams did awesome job this past season. We're incredibly young across the board, from the distance crew to our sprinters, throwers, everybody. So it was really nice to see a lot of growth and improvement from our distance runners through the cross-country season. And while they were going through that, our tracksters were working really hard during fall training. And the growth that we have seen in just that fall training piece alone was huge, and really got to see that come to life this past weekend at our first meet at Otterbein. So that was really exciting. I
have to imagine that, your sport, because of the timing, how do I say this? The fact that it doesn't really ever feel like it has an off season, yeah. Right? I feel like COVID probably impacted track and field maybe more than any other sport, because you're training and you're training and you're training, and you don't really know when you're going to compete again. And that was certainly tough on student athletes across the board, but it started right at the beginning. COVID at the beginning anyways was literally the day of the D3 National Indoor Meet. Yeah. And I know this year's National Meet is, back at the same site down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. how do you try to encapsulate everything you guys have been through the last 2 years here?
You know, we talk a lot about getting back to our why and why we started doing the sport to begin with, and just kind of enjoying the process. You know, track is a really beautiful sport in that I don't think you truly ever peak. It's one of those things that you can always keep working. You can always keep improving. It doesn't matter what PR you hit. You can always go a little bit faster or throw a little bit further or jump a little bit higher. You know that you can always keep working and improving on yourself. And so we just kind of, through COVID, like I said, just kind of focused on getting back to our why, enjoying the process, figuring out why we're still here, and, you know, the reasons that we came to this place to begin with, and just enjoying the process all around. And so even though we go back to Winston-Salem in March for the national meet, we're expecting some different results this time around, but we're really excited to get there again.
A chance to compete would be great.
Yeah, and we will get that chance, trust
absolutely,
me.
Absolutely. The timing, for those that don't know, the timing of it last time around was just awful. All the teams had arrived. I mean, literally everybody was there, went through their
You were there, right?
day prior. I was on my way down.
Yeah.
I just remember the devastation from all these teams saying, like, hey, the meet starts tomorrow. We're here. We're ready to go. And then it didn't.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that there was no winter championship for any sport last year, you know, I think there's that much more buildup this year, and reasons for these young athletes to try to keep achieving their best and make a push to get down there. I know you've got a young team, but if you could try to maybe forecast a little bit some of the success that you're hoping to see, who are some of the athletes? Let's start on the ladies' side that you think folks might be interested in hearing about.
Yeah, so I think we have some upperclassmen and some experienced athletes that we're going to rely on. Senior Alyssa Lochner, she's going to be leading the distance crew for us. Her and Hope Murphy, I imagine, are going to do some pretty big things for us. On the throw side, we're going to be looking at Abby Rodriguez and Selena Shelley. I mean, Selena's only a sophomore, but she's one of our more experienced throwers at this point, and Abby is a junior. I think we're going to see some pretty big leadership from them in the rings. And then on the sprint side, again, very, very young, but I think we can see a lot coming out of a freshman group that we have working with the sprinters. So Abby Collier, Sam Varga, there's many, many more that I can expect to see a lot from.
Awesome. The season got started this past weekend down at Otterbein. A chance, an unscored meet, a chance to compete against somebody other than your own teammates, which is always a welcome sight this time of year. What did you most learn about the team this past weekend?
They are very, very gritty.
I like that.
Yeah. We saw everybody competing really, really hard, and that's what I wanted to see the most out of this group. It's just getting that experience with the competition. Like I said, we are very heavy on the sophomores and freshmen, so for them just to get more experience competing, and for a lot of these athletes, this was their first college meet. You know, I want to put a spotlight on the 4x2 for a second because they were really fun to watch. They had a great lead in that race, and then going into our second handoff, one of the runners fell exchanging the baton, but they were pros. I mean, they were all freshmen runners running this relay, and our third runner just picked it up and like it was nothing and ran one of the teams down and handed off to Abby Collier, who I mentioned earlier, and Abby ran the other team down, and they took the win for that race. And just so for a group of freshmen to have that experience and you know, something going wrong in a relay, but making the most of it and not giving up and just fighting until the very end is huge. And so just seeing that grittiness from the team, just seeing them compete really, really hard, that's going to be huge for them come later in the season.
I can see a couple years from now when those freshmen are upperclassmen and they're winning conference titles in that race, and you're remembering back to meet number one, race number one for them. That's really cool. How about on the guys' side? We've talked a little bit about the ladies here, kind of transition over. Again, I know it's a young team, but your expectations and your hopes for the guys.
Yeah, I think the men are probably even younger than our women. but they are coming together really nicely. They have a lot of competitive spirit in them as well. So it's really fun just to watch them come together. I think the biggest thing for them is relying on each other and pushing each other. And I think that they are really lucky that they have the team that they have around them to help push them every single day, and challenge each other and work with each other, because that really translates into their performances.
How about when you start thinking about the way the OAC could shake out this year? You guys aren't that far away or far removed from a national championship within your own program. Mount Union has had a really, really good program now for a few years. John Carroll has had a couple of guys in particular succeed at a really high level. Ohio Northern's got a ridiculously impressive history, and I know they compete hard. I mean, this feels like a loaded league all the time, and I know that's part of what you guys look forward to is that high level of competition to get ready for national championship type meets. But if there's any specifics that you can share, what do you expect from the league this year?
Yeah, it's always humbling being part of the OAC just because of the level that you just spoke of. So I would just say anytime we see the OAC, especially when we get to the championship meet, it's always a great experience for our athletes. It's something that you can't take for granted. The conference meet is always crazy, and I think that's something that sets our sport apart from others, is because we don't rely on regular season performances or a record to determine, champions. It's all about that 2-day meet. Anything that we do between now and end of February really doesn't matter for the conference. It really just comes down to, those 2 days at the conference championship meet. It's a winner takes all kind of thing. So that's why I think our conference has to be so great, because if you're going to win that title, I mean, you have to have everybody come together. Everybody has to have their best day, and you really need to rely on your teammates to get the job done. So it's just really fun to be around it. Like I said, it's really competitive. It's humbling to be a part of, because anybody who's placing in the top, 3 in their event at the conference meet, they're probably going to the national championships.
Highly likely. That's been the case time and time again over the last few years in particular. Because this team is so young, I guess I'm curious about the recruiting angle. It's an individual sport in a lot of ways, and so everybody is picking and choosing where they want to go to school for their own individual reasons. But were you finding common threads between different groups or clusters of kids that were all choosing to come to BW?
Yeah, I think this is a great recruiting tool for us. I know for me, when I decided to come to BW a little while ago.
But not that long ago.
Yeah. I came into a situation where I had, upperclassmen who were conference champions, who were national qualifiers, and they were awesome leaders for me and kind of took me under their wing. And for recruits now, they're going to be experiencing the same thing, because our freshmen and sophomores now, they're going to be the juniors and seniors for the incoming recruits that we are talking to now. And so that's a huge selling point for us, is because they know that, their teammates aren't, they're not seniors right now. So by the time that they come to BW, those people are going to be gone. These are going to be their teammates now. And so they know that they're going to have, the sophomores, juniors, some seniors that are going to be their training partners, their teammates, people who are going to support them and challenge them every single day in practice. So I think that's huge for our recruits, because they know that they're going to have a really good situation coming in.
How about the relationship that you guys have as a staff? I don't think people really realize, if they're not track and field junkies, I don't think people really realize how challenging it can be to have a few people running a cross-country program and a track team that competes indoor and outdoor, the amount of time and energy that you guys put into it, but frankly the cohesion that you need to have, because when it really feels like a 24/7 365 kind of job, you really have to be pulling the rope in the same direction, and given your success as a program, it certainly feels like, from the outside looking in, that you guys do that really well.
Yeah, I think what's great about our coaching staff is that we respect each other as individual coaches, and we give each other the freedom to coach the way that we need to coach our athletes. And I learn a lot from all of our coaches on staff. I have nothing but respect for them, and we're all trying to do the same thing. But again, I think what's cool is that we give each other room to do those same things in our own unique way. Coaching is an art, and so it's really fun to celebrate our individuality as coaches. and like you said, we have to have that cohesion too. We spend a lot of time together, and it's nice to enjoy each other's company. I mean, Friday night before our first meet, we all got dinner together, and we went over to Coach Eby's house and just had, dinner together and spent a couple hours together just socializing and just enjoying each other's company before the meet, which is really special because we spend enough time together as it is. But it's nice knowing that we also enjoy each other outside of work too. I think that's really important. But I think we are successful as a staff is because we allow each other, the freedom and room to coach our athletes the way that we need to, and it works out really nicely because obviously we bring out the best in our athletes.
It certainly seems that way based on the high-level results that you guys have put out. Just a couple of quick things for folks that are looking to follow along with the team this year. Certainly, BWYellowJackets.com has all the latest for schedules and results, but a couple of home meets this year, including January 29th coming up this weekend, and on Friday, February 11th, that'll be the mid-February meet. The team also competes in Oberlin. They'll be back down at Otterbein on Saturday the 12th. A chance to compete crosstown over Case Western Reserve. That's coming up February 18th. The OAC indoor meet is at Mount Union this year. That's the last weekend in February. They'll have a couple of last chance qualifiers. Ohio Northern and Tufts up in Massachusetts are hosting those the first weekend in March, and then down to the JDL Fast Track in Winston-Salem for the national championships Friday and Saturday, March 11th and 12th. I know it just took a little while to run through that, but it is going to go fast. It always goes fast on the indoor season. Wishing you all the best. Thanks for spending some time. I hope it's a really fun and lengthy, successful year with no layoff between the winter and the spring seasons.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, Jordan Hill, our track and field coach here at BW. What a great conversation with Jordan Hill talking about the track and field teams and the success they are certainly anticipating here in 2022. We're looking forward to following them as well as Jacob Decatur, and we really hope the men's volleyball program gets off to a great start here in 2022 as well. So hopefully it'll be fun for everybody to follow those programs. In the meantime, let's take a look at what's coming up in Yellow Jacket athletics this week. Wednesday features a doubleheader on the basketball floor. The Yellow Jackets are playing Heidelberg. The men will be on the road at Heidelberg. The women will host the Student Princes. On the men's side, it's all about revenge after Heidelberg beat BW pretty badly early in the year. That Heidelberg team is very, very good, and the Yellow Jackets are looking for a little retribution out in Tiffin. On the women's side, it would be a second straight win over Heidelberg this season if they can pull that off. On Friday, the Ohio Northern Polar Bears are coming to town. The Yellow Jackets will be in the pool with the Polar Bears at 6 o'clock on Friday, men and women having their senior night on Friday. That will be the only contest on Friday, although on Saturday, the men's and women's swimming and diving team will compete across town. They'll be over at Case Western Reserve at 1 o'clock. Mentioned with Jordan Hill just a moment ago, the Dr. Tarashki Team Challenge will be hosted at BW beginning at 10 a.m. on Saturday, so the men and women track and field team will compete on Saturday morning. The basketball teams have a big weekend with the Marietta Pioneers on Saturday. The women will be down at Ban Johnson Arena at 1 o'clock. The men will be at Ban Johnson Arena against the 6th-ranked Pioneers at 3 o'clock. And the men's volleyball program competes this weekend. They've got one matchup on Saturday. They're hosting Milliken, a team from the CCIW. Milliken will be here at 7:30 on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, Elmira and Teal, a couple of teams from New York and Pennsylvania, will compete with the Yellow Jackets at noon and 4 o'clock on Sunday. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We certainly appreciate your support of Yellow Jacket Athletics. I'm Brendan Gulick. For all the latest on Baldwin Wallace Athletics, just go to BWYellowJackets.com. From Mike's Bar and Grill in Berea, we'll see you again next Monday. Have a great night, everybody.